ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Varsity Live show. We have the post-game report now. I'm your host, Mason Byers, a student at Arizona State University, reporting for the Varsity Sports Show. And man, we had a great night of football. Man, I tell you, from the collegiate level to the high school level, I mean, a lot of great football is being played. We're going to hear from our great broadcast teams. We had 6 games we have broadcasted, so we're going to hear from a couple of our correspondents, give us a little recap, and we're going to jump right into it. We're going to waste no time here. I actually have Kavish that I'm going to bring up here. He was at the Saguaro and Basha game, so we're going to check in on that right now. What's up,
Mason,
Kavish? How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, so it was a pretty dominating game from Basha. I mean, the crowd was in full support tonight. It was great to be commentating the game. But it was pretty much a one-sided battle. I mean, the final score is 50-0 Basha, so pretty dominating on both sides of the ball. Their quarterback Brody Veers had a phenomenal game. Really, whatever they wanted to do on the offensive side of the field, they could do. They're running the ball, passing the ball. Even their kickoff team was doing great, putting them in great positions to score. On the other hand, Saguaro kind of had some troubles on their end. They had a freshman quarterback, to be fair, and he looked good at certain times. He had some great intangibles, being that he had a great arm. He was running the ball pretty well, but overall, Basha was just pretty dominant. So yeah, yeah, but it was a good game.
Awesome. Obviously, Saguaro starting off 0-3, not something they were hoping for, but I'm guessing there's at least some takeaways they're going to get from this game and hopefully apply it to the rest of the regular season, I assume.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things I was talking about during the game is, I mean, no team likes to be down 50-0 or losing 50-0 for that matter. But, on the, conversely, they do have a freshman quarterback, a very young player. I'm sure they're going to get a ton out of the film room tomorrow. It's not even that they were just dominated, in a one-sided game. There were chances. I mean, I can think of at least 2 to 3 times in which, Saguaro had a deep ball for a touchdown that was just dropped, or a big play that was negated by a penalty. So they had some success on the offensive side of the ball, that's for sure. It's just for every solid 2 good plays they had, it was one that kind of held them back, being a penalty or whatever. But I do think the quarterback, he's very talented. I mean, the kid, let me just pull it up here. He's Zealand Danielson. He's 6'2", 215 as a freshman. So he's a pretty big dude. But he had a rough game, but Bosch is as tough as it gets in the Arizona level. So I think there's a lot to take from his performance. And honestly, I think Saguaro, it's not gonna be a fun night for them tonight, obviously, but I think they have a lot to look forward to for the rest of the season.
Yeah, obviously there's just learning moments for Saguaro and then Basha. Obviously, always good to get a dominant win against another conference opponent. Kavish was on the color for that game. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, no problem, Mason. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, have a good night.
I appreciate it.
Awesome. That was our Kavish who covered the Saguaro game. And as he said, it was 50-0. Basha pretty much ran away with it from the beginning. But, Saguaro, you have a lot of young faces, new head coach. So, I mean, these are always learning moments that you teach your young players. You learn more in a loss than you do in a win, in my personal opinion. So I think Saguaro is just going to keep trying to learn these new lessons, and it's going to eventually all turn around for them, and they're going to have a really good breakthrough. Next, we're going to go down to our Tucson team who covered the Empire versus Ironwood Ridge game. And I'm going to bring up Raymundo Chavez. He was there to cover the game, so we're going to go ask him how that game went.
How you doing, Mason?
Good. How about you?
Pretty good. Just wrapping up the Ironwood and Empire game over here down in Tucson.
Awesome. I peeked at the score a little bit there. It seemed a little one-sided. How was the game there?
So, yeah, it was fairly one-sided. Empire had a few opportunities that, similar to like how Kavish said, penalties negated some plays that they had. They also had a couple fumbled snaps that ended their drives pretty, like, not ended specifically, but like second down, third down, they'd fumble the snap, and unfortunately, there was one time. Well, unfortunately for Empire, Ironwood was able to get on it one time, and score off it too. So.
Who was your guys' player of the game for that Ironwood Ridge team?
So we chose Jaden Martinez. He was the quarterback, had 2 rushing touchdowns, had a ton of he had a ton of like yards on the ground using his legs, really like a good dual threat quarterback. And but on the other side, the Arizona Bowl that we've been working with down here in Tucson, Baba was the player of the game for them. He D-end, he was great. Had like a couple sacks and had a ton of tackles. So yeah, I think both of them were well deserved, depending on who you wanted to give the award to tonight.
Awesome. I kind of talked to Kavish earlier. I mean, even though when you kind of lose in a little bit of a lopsided defeat, I mean, there's still learning lessons. So I mean, definitely some things Empire could have taken away from tonight's game for sure.
No, yeah, and I mean they have something to build off of. I think they have a really good running back named I forget his first name. It's a tough one, but they call him Gronk, and his last name is Fanguni. And I mean, he ran the ball really well, broke a ton of tackles, and was able to get yards when it really looked like they shouldn't have been able to get yards. He had a story written about him in the Daily Star, the local newspaper, on Wednesday. And so, yeah, I think they have promise. I think they have potential, definitely, with the players and team that they have. And I mean, it's unfortunately, it's a learning moment for them, but it also is their first loss of the season. So it isn't like the most detrimental thing, I don't think.
Awesome. Well, excellent reporting as always from the Tucson team. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Mason. Have a great night, man.
You too. Thank you. Awesome. That was our Tucson team, Raimundo Chavez, with the post-game report for that Ironwood Ridge versus Empire game. Just an excellent game there for Ironwood Ridge. But like we said, with Saguaro and Empire, you can always learn from these losses. You have to take what you can get, and sometimes it doesn't go your way, but every game matters for a reason. Every snap, every rep counts for a reason, practice and game. So both these teams are going to build off that. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break here, and then we'll be back with more post-game wrap-ups from around the Valley.
Hi guys, my name is Madison and I'm interning at Varsity Sports Show this fall semester. I'll be playing a role in photo and social media this year. I've always had a passion for sports and was a soccer player until I switched roles to become a professional swimmer. Now, with that being said, I hope to capture that type of energy that I experienced in my years of swimming. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sticking with me through that quick commercial break. We're going to hop right into the next post-game recap. This is the one I've been honestly waiting to talk about all night, even though I'm not in Las Vegas, but our excellent reporter down there, Nicholas Anderson, was there to cover the Orange Lutheran versus Bishop Gorman game, excuse me. So we're going to bring him up on the screen right now. Hey, Nicholas, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Mason. How you doing?
Doing good. I was honestly really looking forward to this game. I actually watched your guys' the broadcast, and I was quite surprised. Can you just kind of give me a little breakdown of the game?
Yeah, this game lived up to expectation for sure, but I sure didn't expect a blowout as Bishop Gorman ended up slaughtering the Lancers tonight, 55-28. We just did our post-game player of the game, the one and only Micah Eugenio, absolutely torched this front seven in the secondary of the Lancers. He had 5 passing touchdowns of the night. On top of that, you go to their elite receiving corps and Greg Toller and Brandon Gaea. Greg Toller alone had 4 touchdowns, one of it being a passing and 3 receiving touchdowns, along with Brandon Gaea with also 1 touchdown of the night. So it was an overall great win for the Gales as they moved to 3-1 on the season, and now they set up a game against Liberty, which arguably is the best rivalry here in Las Vegas.
Awesome. I mean, just because of how big this game was, did you just kind of feel that energy right from the start from the crowd, and it just like didn't really seem like any other typical game just because of how high stakes it was?
Yeah, I mean, especially with what was on the line tonight, you have number 5 Bishop Gorman, who had lost to Mater Dei the game before, and then Orange Lutheran, who was 3-0. This was their best start in over a decade. They were ranked 12th in the country. This goes back to one of the best starts since the 2006 state championship team. And with the loss tonight, only dwindles their chances to be declared national champions. But they still have opponents on their schedule that they could get big wins against. They go they're back home and they face off against Sierra Canyon, who is a great team in their own. And then you have teams like St. John's Bosco and Modern Day on November 1st to end off their schedule. So there's still hope alive for the Lancers, but for Gorman, it's now conference schedule play for them. And if they can run the table, they give themselves a good chance to go back-to-back. But they need a lot to happen for them, Mason, in order for that to happen.
Yeah, definitely a behemoth of the game tonight. It is only like about week 4 there over there in Las Vegas, but definitely gonna knock over some dominoes for the rest of the season. Thank you so much, Nicholas, for always holding it down in Vegas for us.
I appreciate it, Mason. Have a great show.
You too. Thank you. Have a good night. Awesome. That was our Nicholas Anderson. He always does a great job there in Las Vegas. Was on the call there for that Bishop Gorman game. I mean, you heard Bishop Gorman, number 5 ranked team heading into this, and they showed why. I mean, they lost to Mater Dei last week, as you've been told, but I mean, to win in a dominant fashion against the number 12 ranked team in the country, you're definitely putting your stamp of approval of we deserve to be here. So just another great game that the Varsity Sports Show is able to cover. We're going to go to another quick commercial break, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about some sports around the Valley.
Hey, what's good, Varsity Sports Show? My name is Quentin Presley, and I'll be a senior at Arizona State University studying sports journalism. In fall 2024, I'll be joining the broadcast and production team, and I am very excited to be bringing coverage about high school and college sports week in and week out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sticking with me through that quick commercial break. We're going to hop right back into the next post-game recap. Personally, I think my favorite game of the night, because I quite literally had 6 different tabs open of every single broadcast that we had. Brophy versus Centennial, I thought that game was great. I thought our broadcast team did great. So we're going to hear a post-game recap right now.
Hello?
Hey there, I can hear you. How are you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing good. I love the call you guys had on that Brophy game. Can you just run me through it a little bit?
Nah, I appreciate it. It was a crazy game. The first half, I think it's been the trend for Brophy all first halves for something crazy to just happen. But the first half started off with a wild start. I think Brophy fumbled it on their first drive. And then Centennial came back. They tied it, or they gained the lead 7-0. And then at the end of the first half, you saw chaos where we had 3 back-to-back turnovers in the span of about 4 minutes, I think, which was insane. So Brophy went into the half tied 14-14 with Centennial. But coming out the half, they made a quarterback change. They had Case Vandenbosch come in, number 15. And he really gave them the spark that they needed, honestly. I mean, he came in right away, had a big touchdown, which was, I think, 60-plus yards, almost 70. And then he came in and led another scoring drive, which ended in him scoring a 1-yard TD. And they ended up taking the game 28-14. Centennial had a chance to cut the lead late to 7. They had a touchdown that was called back in that same drive. They fumbled the ball, ultimately ending it, and Brophy took home the W, started off 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that last little bit there with the callback and the fumble. It looked like pure chaos. I mean, it looked like a really interesting game. I mean, what do you kind of expect from Brophy moving on? Because, I mean, this is a great win. I mean, Centennial is one of the best teams in the nation, in the nation and Arizona. So, I mean, this is a great win over a powerhouse school.
Yeah, for Centennial, it was kind of a heartbreaker at the end right there. It felt like they had the game in their grasp. But for Brophy, this was a big win. I mean, they came into a hostile environment on the road. It was the home opener for Centennial, so that was huge for them. I think going into next week, the biggest question is to see who will be the starting quarterback. For the first 2 games, it was Rylan Humphrey, who played exceptional in his first 2 games. Today, he had a rough first half. He got pulled in Case Vandenbosch took him home for the win. So it's going to be interesting to see how the coach decides who will play. But also, I mean, their defense has played stellar to start this season. I mean, they've given up, I think, 14 points a game. They already have a shutout. So it's going to be interesting to see for sure. But I think the sky's the limit for this team. As long as they minimize the penalties, the mistakes, the turnovers, I mean, you could see them ending up very deep in the playoffs. So I think it's going to be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dewalt, on that amazing call, like I said earlier, there with the Brophy game. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. You too. Have a good night.
You too.
Awesome. That was our Brophy recap game. I thought that was one of the best games of the night in general around the Valley. I mean, that game is going to mean a lot come those ranking times. Brophy, obviously not having the season they wanted last year, not winning it all, and Centennial runner up in that open division last year. So two great teams, a great game, and we're gonna hop right into our next post game recap. We have the Mountain View versus the Liberty game. That recap. We're gonna have Roman Martinez join us here, and he's gonna give us a little breakdown of what happened here tonight. Hey there, Roman. How are you?
Doing good. How about yourself, Mason?
Doing good, doing good. I mean, I was able to peek in a little bit during that Mountain View game. Can you kind of just give me a breakdown of what kind of happened there?
Yeah, absolutely. So Liberty, the number one ranked team in Arizona, just took down Mountain View 49-20. It was honestly a complete blowout up until around late in the third quarter, early fourth quarter. That's when, the second unit started to come on for the Lions, and Mountain View started to tack on some consolidation points, really. Great effort by both teams, though. Both of them came into this one undefeated, so it was a great matchup to watch.
Yeah, Liberty definitely showing why they were the open division champions last year. But we were talking about earlier in that Saguaro game and the Empire game, or they weren't that too close of wins for them. But I mean, was something that the Mountain View team you think can learn from this week? And I mean, it's their first loss of the season, like you said, so they can't get their heads too down. But what's something they can learn and build off after this week?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people, they have to remember that they have a new head coach. So this is his first season, obviously coming over from Chandler Hamilton, I believe, if I'm correct. Don't quote me on that. But so it's his first season with this Toro squad, and it's going to take time. Obviously, they won the first 2 out of 3. But for the players, more specifically, what to learn from in this game is just how to battle adversity. They were on the road in a really hostile environment. The fan base is just absurd for Liberty. Liberty is a huge high school. They have incredible players at a lot of the skill positions, especially at wide receiver. A lot of them are over 6 foot, 200-pound wide receivers that can really just, get super athletic one-on-one. And that's ultimately what ended up happening in this game. They got beat on a lot of deep shots. They didn't play terribly, when they kept the ball in front of them, but ultimately it was just, those costly plays in the secondary that they just couldn't, catch up to.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Roman. Great coverage as always from Mountain View. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Yeah. Thanks, Mason.
Yeah. Have a good night.
You too.
Awesome. Like you said there, Mountain View obviously not ending how they wanted that night, but Liberty obviously the number one ranked team in the state. So it's going to be a lot of learning lessons for that Mountain View team, and Liberty, they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and then when we get back, we're going to hear from our Horizon team as well as our Varsity on the Go team. So just give me 1 second.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adrian Carmona, and I'm very excited to be joining the Varsity Sports Show team as their Gainesville correspondent. I am a third-year sports media major at the University of Florida, and my dream is to become a sports broadcaster and radio host. I can't wait to provide you all with the best content and news surrounding Gainesville sports.
Awesome. We're actually going to hear from our Soleil Wad, who was actually on our Varsity on the Go team. So he's going to give us a little recap. We didn't broadcast that game, but he did it for social media. So we're going to get him a little recap real quick. Hey, Soleil, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Mason. How you doing?
Doing good. I mean, great coverage on social media as always with you and Doug. Can you just kind of break me down what happened during that game you all covered?
Yeah, I mean, we're here at Apollo High School, and Thunderbird they took this arena over, this stadium over. They won 41-7. Thunderbird running back Elijah Little had 4 touchdowns. He had well over 200 yards on the ground. He was just running all over them. This Thunderbird team is really good. They're undefeated right now, 3-0. They got a lot of new transfers, pickups. This is a really scary team.
Yeah, Doug was telling me before the game, Elijah was definitely someone to keep an eye out for. And Apollo, Adam Muhammad, Washington player now, he was their lead back last year, so definitely a rebuild. But any key takeaways? I mean, like, what do you kind of think Apollo needs to do to kind of bounce back next week?
I mean, just they couldn't stop the run at all game, and then offensively they couldn't get it done. There were a lot of overthrows. Their number one receiver, 88, his name slipping my mind, but he's their best receiver, and Thunderbirds DB Messiah Lovett. This was his first game with the team, and he locked him up all game. He had a pick. He had PBUs. I interviewed him and Elijah in the post game. He had the DBU chain on post game. So that team has a lot of energy, and they're scary for sure.
Yeah, we definitely like the DVU chain for sure. Thank you so much, Slay. You and
Yes.
Doug did a great job at Apollo tonight.
Thank you, Mason.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, folks. The bus keeps on rolling. We're having a great post game recap show. I mean, we have so many great field correspondents out here today. We're gonna bring up Quentin Presley, who was at that Horizon game as a color commentator. We're gonna have a little recap of what he saw tonight. Hey there, Quentin. How are you doing?
Hey, Mason, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Doing good. I love the call that you and Chris had tonight for sure. So I was definitely tuned in.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. We're still here under the Friday night lights here at Horizon, Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah, the grind never stops. I saw the end score of the game, but can you kind of give me a breakdown of how the Huskies played tonight?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's good that you saw the score because I don't think it really told the whole story. As you know, the Huskies beat the Kellis Cougars 44-21 and won by 23 points. It would seem like it was a very seemingly victory, but it wasn't because Horizon played a very sloppy level of ball. They had well over 10 penalties, and they could have easily won by 30-plus points. However, they had a lot of highlight plays, which I want to get into. We had Jace Ashley, senior quarterback, one of the first punches of the game after a running back got the first down. He broke away for a 75-yard house. So that was so exciting. The stadium was packed. Everything was lively. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I definitely was paying attention. I didn't see that play in particular, but that is definitely something I'm not surprised I actually was able to do. Was he your player of the game, or did you guys have someone else for your player of the game?
Yes, Jace Ashley ended up being the player of the game. He had that rushing touchdown. Well, he had another rushing touchdown later on in the game, and then he had a passing touchdown to wide receiver Partridge. It was a great, had it in the pocket about the 40, saw his man going down the sideline and just hit him right there in the breadbasket.
Awesome. Their offense always doing good. I assume Jackson Murray, I like to call him Agent Zero. I assume he did a good job as well tonight.
Man, I love that nickname. Chris was telling me about that. Oh, yeah, man. He's just such an impactful player. Really, I mean, you look along the sideline, who has the dirtiest jersey, and it's always Jackson. So
It's always going to
he's
be
just a
him.
dog. And what was kind of a promising thing to see from the Cougars, they don't have a very good completion percentage, lower 30s actually as it stands, probably even worse tonight. But their quarterback, Cody the Third, also known as RC3, named by.
I think he cut out, but RC3, I think, was the nickname that he was going with there. Quentin, I think we may have lost him. Let's see. I think we lost Quentin. Let's see. Give it one more second. Yeah, I think we lost Quentin, but that's all right. Quentin, I didn't get to tell him, but hopefully he can hear me. Great job covering tonight. Oh, I think he might be back. You good? Or I think you're back.
Oh, there we go. Did we get just?
You cut off right as you was talking about RC3. I think was what you were saying with the nickname.
Now I can't seem to hear you.
You can't hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
That's a bummer. I can't hear you.
Well, I'm gonna do a wave.
Thank you very much, Mason. Go Varsity Sports Show. Catch you next week.
There you go. No, I didn't take sign language in high school or college, but the simple wave and thumbs up always does a trick for me. But thank you so much, Quentin. Him and the rest of the team at Horizon did a really great job there. As always, like all of our broadcast teams. We're going to go to another quick commercial break, and then we're going to wrap it up, and we might have one more pregame with our JUCO correspondent for tomorrow. If not, we're going to do a little wrap-up after this quick commercial break.
You may remember me from the spring semester. My name is Alexandra Medina, and I am a sports journalism student at ASU Cronkite. My passion for sports began when I was tuned into ESPN at just the age of 6 years old. I am excited to be back with the Varsity Sports Show to bring you the latest sports news in Arizona and across the country. Thanks for tuning in to the Varsity Sports Show. I am Alexandra Medina.
Hello, and welcome everyone to Varsity Sports. I'm Ray Chavez, one of the new fall interns from the University of Arizona. Having gone to and reported from a few events before and hosted a radio show on my own, I'm eager and excited to be a part of this team and to fill you in on all the action going on in the coming months. I'm really excited to be a part of this team and even more excited for everyone to see my progress. Let's have a great year and go Varsity Sports.
I do have to say, after seeing that U of A flag, I'm so sorry, Ray, I have to do this to you, but U of A did lose 31-7 against Kansas State. Obviously not what U of A wanted. Just wanted to throw in a little college football there because that also took place tonight in this wonderful start of the weekend for football. U of A losing to the number 14th ranked team in the nation, but that's how it's going to be sometimes. But we had a great night here at the Varsity Sports Show. We had so many great broadcast teams out there. Just want to do a little quick recap. Shout out Saguaro versus Basha with the win. Empire versus Ironwood Ridge. Ironwood got the win over Empire. Mountain View versus Liberty. Liberty stole that one. Horizon versus Kellis. Horizon was able to sneak that one away. They moved to 3-0. Brophy versus Centennial. Brophy with the win over there. That was a great win for them. And then by far the game of the week in the nation was Orange Lutheran versus Bishop Gorman. Bishop Gorman pretty much stole the show there, showing why they were the number 5 ranked team. Just another great Friday Night Lights. Great weekend to start football. We have college football tomorrow. We got NFL Sunday and Monday, obviously. So another great night here of college football. Before y'all leave, I just wanted to remind you that we do have 2 more broadcasts tomorrow. At 6 p.m., we have ASU Club Soccer versus GCU Club Soccer. That's going to be on one of our YouTube channels, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. And then we have the JUCO game of the week, Maricopa Mustangs taking on Gila River tomorrow at 7 p.m. We'll also be going on our YouTube channel. That'll be our main one, Varsity Sports Show, so make sure you check that out on YouTube. It's going to be another 2 great broadcasts, one ASU Club Soccer, GCU Club Soccer, and then the Maricopa Mustangs taking on Gila River and that JUCO matchup. Thank you all so much for joining. If you do, I love football, so I'm going to make sure I tune in. We also have a new radio show. Vince DeLisio, CEO of Varsity Sports Show, he's going to be the one running it tonight. If you want to go to KDUS AM 1060, it's going to start here in just a couple minutes, 10:30 to 11:30 p.m. He's going to have another hour recap going on. Have some great sports going on in the Valley. Another recap show. He's going to do some calling in, and it's going to be a great show. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you were here for the pregame show, thank you so much for hearing me talk my head off. I know I could probably be annoying, but thank you so much for sticking with me. And same goes for the postgame. And we're going to roll the outro, and make sure to go check out the radio show on KDUS AM 1060. Have a great night, y'all.